First, I'd like to pose a question to you. As the dominant race of the planet Earth, we know everything about the zoological world, don't we? You would think so, but during certain times, we've actually found that we've been able to explore places like the ocean and find that there are animals that were actually what we thought were extinct, still alive. And for that example, that is actually the coelacanth, which is a prehistoric fish that has bony plates and whatnot. Now, while that is the ocean, the same thing does tend to happen on land. And my example for this is actually what we've grown to know as Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Now here I want to try and persuade you to be with me that Sasquatch is a living thing. And that it is something that should be taken a bit more seriously than it actually is, especially from the scientific community. And now how I'm going to do that is actually work on three main points. One point being the scientific aspect. The second being the theories that come about with Bigfoot and Sasquatch. And third, and more importantly, probably, would be the sightings that have been noted from all around the world, not just from our nation. Now moving on to the science, we've actually grown to see that there is an adequate amount of food, an adequate amount of water, and living space within the forests of our nation alone that could certainly house a group of these creatures together and still maintain a good amount of safety for them, as well as an amount of elusiveness from the human people. Now, from this creature we have found hairs, we've found prints, and we even have audio and visual evidence of the creature. Now, from a television show that I enjoyed very much that aired from the, I believe it was the History Channel, and it was actually called Bigfoot the Definitive Guide. And what happened on there is they took the most iconic piece of Bigfoot film called the Patterson-Gimlin footage. And if you haven't seen any footage on Sasquatch at all, you've seen this one, because it's basically of the creature walking from one end of the frame to another through a forest within the northern part of California called Bluff Creek. And now within this film, it was originally grainy, and we've been able to enhance it enough to where we can see, to where we can analyze scientifically and even mathematically. Within the analysis, after the enhancement, we've come to see that we could actually see the musculature of the creature. We could see the skin stretch when it moved. We could see the ligaments become tighter and relax as it took steps. And from another History Channel show that used to air called Monster Quest. I don't know if any of you watched it, but during the episodes of Bigfoot Attack 1 and 2, and respectively season 1 and 2, we were shown that certain DNA analysis was done on the hairs, tissue, and blood actually, to show that it came up being a non-human primate, meaning that it does have some characteristics from our gene pool, but also it has characteristics from primates. However, there was no match as to the primates that we already know about existing today, like gorillas and orangutans. So the theories that come along with this would be that it would be a 5th grade ape, considering its size. It would be either a human link or a human missing link, and that it might be even a new animal altogether, a new type of animal altogether. Now moving on from the scientific aspect of things, I'd like to move on to the theories that come about, which the main theory is it's a man in a suit. That's pretty obvious, but believe it or not, people have come by and have confessed that they were the man in the suit. However, a majority of this cannot be proven, just as much as the identity of what Sasquatch really is. They can't provide a costume. They can't provide the location to where the footage was shot that they confessed to have hoaxed. And they can't provide anybody that could have helped them with this. Now, with the theory of it being a missing link, we look at the hair, seeing how it's been in our gene pool, and we also look at the prints. Now the prints are interesting because they actually have things in them called dermal ridges, which are actually like fingerprints to our fingers, meaning that every footprint, well, every real footprint, should be unique to another one. It should be unique and not match anything else. And with that, I would like to show you a video clip that I actually got from the National Geographic the National Geographic channel, from a show called American Paranormal Bigfoot.
Over a half century from all over North America. According to Meldrum, the foot would be flat, closely resembling that of a non-human primate. The foot would have a hinge-like flexibility along the mid-tarsal joint, forcing the foot into a flatter step with an elongated heel. A human foot, on the other hand, has a characteristic longitudinal arch along the mid-tarsal joint. This structure reduces the range of motion in the human foot. But the Bigfoot seems to lack the arch, allowing for greater flexibility along uneven and rugged surfaces.
Now, as you can see here, with the Bigfoot, we've seen that we have a mid-tarsal break instead of an arch like a human. However, we can give this credit to it being a 5th grade ape. Not quite human, but not quite completely ape. Now, moving on from the theories, I'd like to move on to the sightings. Now, sightings of Bigfoot have been all over the world, from the US, from Australia to Sumatra, and everywhere. And while they do vary in description and in size sometimes, they're generally the same. Now, while they've been sighted all over the world and within our nation, they've been in North Carolina, to where there have been 67 reports this month alone. And I got this information from Persuade.net, which would be the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization.net. And now with Sumatra, there are people from National Geographic that go there with scientists, and they talk to the villagers, and they're like, okay, what kind of animals do you see in the forest? They say elephants, they say tigers. These are animals we know exist. And then they say, how often do you see them? They go once or twice every other month if we're lucky. Now, these are animals that we know exist. If we're not seeing them at a frequency that we think we should, then how can we expect to see Bigfoot on a scale just like that? So thank you, and I hope that you've had your position swayed a bit.